Welcome back to the Velvet Room. Today we are continuing a issue, while not specifically about the killing games movement. Indeed, it seems those continue to want to kill games, with pirate software down in the ditch somewhere, down there in the void of darkness. We turn to another foe. Credit cards and PayPal. Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal back up to fucking taking their bats and swinging at shit. Anyone who's into weeb stuff, anime and shit, knows that there has been a constant problem over the years of having random shit banned off of things. Like Amazon had, for years, just random anime statues being banned and shit. But the problem is getting worse and worse as we continue. For those who've kept up, Japan has faced several issues on a lot of their indie websites, be it for anime, manga, and indie games of varying, things. Some more tasteful than others, and some very dark than others. Well, now it's time for the West to get its taste, as Steam and Itch.io both get whacked. If you haven't been in the loop, Steam banned a whole way of games. Now, it's important to understand why a lot of people are concerned about this. Yes, a lot of the games that got removed on Steam were a lot of shelfware slop. But there were casualties. Like, there was this Ace Attorney indie game that was called Trials of Innocence. And people are literally just what the fuck? Did they ban it just because it had the word innocence in its title? Oops. Now, hopefully that gets, reversed or something, maybe, in its case. But, yes, a lot of the games that did get removed were just garbage slop, to be fair. But it's the principle that a group of weirdos can go and be like, we want this stuff banned and removed, and boof, it's gone. Now, this collective group of people who have claimed responsibility in this have gone after other games. People have retroactively went back into their history, and they have attacked many of artful, tasteful games, like Detroit Become Human. If you watched my live streams, you'll know I played Become Human. I get that some of the criticisms of it, but honestly, I think it's the guy's best game out of all his games he made. I liked it, and he targeted it because child abuse. Because we can't have storytelling in a meaningful adult story setting at all. Why would you want that? Right? We can't have fictional, meaningful stories. They must be dumbed down. Dumb them down to the lowest common denominator of a 2-year-old. Because that's what you want, right? And of course, as I continue to always point out, there are fucking movies and fictional shit that are way worse than any of this crap. But oh, the video games! Think of the interactiveness for the children, not the horrific movies that go way beyond all this shit. But hypocrisy. That's the Western way. That's how it works here. Morons, all fucking morons. Hypocritical morons. Now, Itch.io was the last person to get hit. So far, for the heaven's sakes, GOG hasn't been targeted, and believe me, every single day ever since Itch.io got hit, I am very worried for GOG. Because GOG did start supporting adult content, though they're really picky about it. But this situation is proving to be very worrisome in all this. So Itch.io Itch.io did what GOG does when they delist something. You get to keep it in your library. Now, there were claims claims that people lost games in the lab. Now, I don't have a lot of iffy material on Itch.io. I have Fear and Hunger, which is a game that features actual rape in it. And very horrific mutilations that can happen. It's a very dark RPG, but it's very interesting, to be honest. But anyway, it does feature really horrific shit in it. And then I do have 2 adult anime games on Itch.io. All of them are still available to me. And they're all purchasable. However, you do have to get a direct link. Now, Itch.io is trying to actually work with the situation here, where Steam just dumped and gave in, which is ridiculous, because Steam is one of the most powerful fucking stores out there in the game industry, and they just immediately gave up. Immediately. They didn't do anything, and that is super concerning. Now, Itch.io is basically, if your game is affected by this, you're not searchable. You can type it in Itch.io, you're not finding that shit. So when you put in Fear and Hunger, the only shit that comes up is all the mods and shit people made for it, not the actual game. So you have to go either to the creator's user page and then go there, or find a direct link to the page. So it's harder to find these games on Itch.io, but they still exist on Itch.io. Now, apparently there were some games that did get outright delisted for purchase. Now, Itch.io put a new statement claiming that any of these case scenarios were done by the creators, which, to be fair, considering what happened, some creators may have just decided, oh, well, fuck this, I'm pulling my shit out on that. They said that is the only reason anything should be removed from your lab area. But they did say, if you did experience this with any of your games, please contact them about it for more information. So if you did experience this, you sure you have a game that is missing, contact Itch.io. They said they would talk to you about it. But yeah, so I mean, considering Fear and Hunger has really, I mean, a lot of horrific shit, like seriously a lot of horrific shit, I'm going to and the fact that I have not seen any proof, the only proof I've seen is that one game that's like, what is it called, Mouthwash, which wasn't even available on Itch.io as far as I'm aware of anyway, because I remember when that game came out and everyone's like, oh, Mouthwash is awesome. I tried to look up a DRM free version. It was not available on Itch.io. It had an Itch.io page, but it took you to Steam. So I always knew that wasn't a case, at least at the time I looked. Whether it became available later and then was withdrawn, I can't really comment on that. But as far as I'm understanding, it never was directly fully available on Itch.io as far as I'm understanding. So, considering that's been the only thing being used as actual evidence of this being removed as library, I'm going to have to take Itch.io on their word that they're working the best with this. Now, Itch.io did make a better statement with the second one, because the first statement was just kind of like Steam, like, we gave in, we can't really do anything about it, like, they gave a better explanation. Like, I get, and I do have sympathy for Itch.io. You know, you want your smaller group. You're not this big powerhouse like Steam, and you gotta keep you know, your platform up and stuff. And I give them points for keeping the content available and actually purchasable, but they had to essentially hide it. You have to get direct links and stuff. Now, it seems the money, if you're a creator of adult content that's being hit by this shit, be it whether it's sloppy or not sloppy, but apparently your funds are kind of frozen. Itch.io has stated that they are looking into finding a payment processing system that will work with adult content so they can send you your funds. So Itch.io is trying to work around this shit, and I give them props on that, because Steam is doing jack shit, which is really sad for a company that wants to stun for gamers, world stunning, and then just immediately gave in. And as far as I've seen, Steam has not given further information, which is disappointing. What happened to Gabe, who protected the right of a game, like when fucking Hatred came out? Anyone remember Hatred? I remember Hatred. I have a DRM-free version of Hatred. Hatred came out, and it was banned off Steam, and then brought back from the heavens, from Gabe Newell. Now look, as a weeb, I know Steam has its hypocrisies and its quote and unquote, oh, we allow the game as long as it's not legal. Oh wait, it's anime. Get with it! Like, look, I know Steam has been hypocritical in those claims, but this is getting to a new level and giving into it. It's really sad and pitiful. Sad and pitiful. Very sad and pitiful. But Itrio, I do appreciate you trying to work around this shit and stuff, and hopefully things can get better with that. Now, on the credit card side of things, obviously, gamers are mad. And if there's anything I know from being a really old gamer at this point, gamers don't like being fucked with. And what do gamers do when they're fucked with? They get shit done. And of course, gamers are quickly doing that. So, if you were to look up some things, you might find out a lot of people brought up a bunch of numbers that you can call that go to MasterCard and Visa. And these calls are, well, to complain and shit. But somebody realized these calls cost them money if you make them really long. So it started a campaign where everyone just basically is mass calling and trying to make the calls really long to not only waste their money, but to make a point that we don't want this shit. And they have no right to fucking dictate what we can buy out of legal goods. You might not like adult content, but it's not illegal. Unless I get a crate full of living children, there's not a crime being committed buying hentai or adult stories, visual novels, or shit like Fear and Hunger. That's a story that depicts horrific monsters and shit doing horrific shit. That's not illegal. It's fiction, regardless of the context of whatever the fuck's happening. It's fiction and it's not illegal. So, yeah, unless I'm, like, doing slave trade, sex trafficking, or having crates full of real children, the shit is like, go, like, you know, actual after real crime. Oh my goodness, fictional content, visas to the rescue. What about the actual child trafficking that's going over there? Fuck them, they're not winning us brownie points. Like, it's just really strange for them to even focus on this. Now, Visa and MasterCard did comment that they caved in because of this collective group that claimed to be responsible for all these recent shit. And honestly, I call horseshit. It's more of an excuse. These companies, including PayPal, have been doing this shit way before these fuckers started complaining. Before this year. They've been doing this shit as a slow boiling the frog process. They can blame these people for it recently, but I call bullshit. I mean, hell, when this shit was starting hardcore in Japan several months ago, you know, like Visa was like, oh, we're just doing it to protect our brand. What brand are you protecting? You're a fucking credit card company. You wanna know what your brand is? Your brand image? Your brand image is a greedy bank who hoard money and fucking exploit people. That's your brand image. That's what people see you as. Nobody sees you as some fucking crusader of think of the children. Oh, the children. Those poor little children. Who will think of them? The credit card companies. Fuck you. You don't think of the children. You don't think of anything except for giant fat hordes of money. Sorry. I don't mean to be getting slightly, you know, this is a investing kind of thing to me, you know? But it's horseshit. It's horseshit. And what is this doing ultimately? It's killing more games. Games are being lost to the Ethernet. unless they're backed up and thrown on piracy sites, we're losing options to get games. And itch.io is even more concerning to me than Steam, because why? These are DRM-free games. Itch.io even says it in their second statement. They are a DRM-free website. You can back up your games. So it's concerning to have them whipped away and basically making it piracy only if they are completely removed from sale. Now, like I said, there were mixed claims on there. itch.io basically said, everything should, for the most part, be there unless they actually broke actual rules. So, but if you know any actual examples of any of that stuff, feel free to leave a comment down below. Like I said, I couldn't find real examples other than people claiming the mouthwash thing. Anyway. So, what's next? Well, there are numbers and stuff you can call to tell your representatives that you want this shit to stop. There's several petitions and shit all around the world starting basically Stop Killing Games 2.0, the MasterCard edition. Or Visa edition, PayPal edition, the credit card company edition, the bank edition, whatever you want to call it. So, all the way people are starting to push new petitions and shit and getting political people involved. Japan's already looking into fucking making violation charges on credit card companies for doing this shit. And I hope that works out, because fuck them. They shouldn't have any right to choose what the fuck we buy as long as it's legal fucking shit. It's horseshit. Absolute horseshit. 100%. 100 absolute percent. So, all good and dandy, right? Everyone's mad. Petitions will be made. Hopefully lawmakers might do something. Tell them to go fuck off and shit, right? Wrong. More problems are happening. If you live in the UK, you probably know, well, the internet's not quite the same, and the EU's quickly getting ready to follow right after you, along with the US. So if you're not familiar, the UK introduced a law that basically, to view anything considered adult, you have to scan your face or show your actual fucking ID to use the internet, essentially. Oh my fucking goodness. We've just entered dysphoria. We've entered the apocalypse of life. We entered Nazism 2.0. Oh shit. And it's more concerning because, like I said, the EU just started a law. It's not passed, but they're introducing a law to try and pass to essentially do the same thing. And America introduced a child protecting law that's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. And what is going on? Oh, think of the children. And all the information and shit we can get off of you, right? And keep track of you and all this shit and your personal self and life and all that stuff. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Things are getting creepy, folks. Things are getting wrong. And we need to really voice our opinions of politicians and tell them we don't like this shit. Because this shit is getting creepy and very concerning. You should be very fucking concerned about the government's wanting to essentially fucking keep you in a microchip situation. And the fact that the UK wants to try and ban VPNs when, because of the law they introduced, VPNs have reached a new fucking level of being used and subscribed in the UK, and they're looking into banning the fucking things because of it, is just mind-bogglingly insane. Human rights are like virtually vanishing off the internet if you live in the UK, you poor bastards. And I really hope the rest of the world don't follow, because this is getting crazy. Now, because of the UK situation, basically websites had two options. Because if they don't comply to some extent, they will get charged and fined and basically fined to hell. So your two choices are comply by making a system that gathers this information, sends it to the UK that you're actually identifying the people coming to your site if you're affected by this. Or B, you block the UK and La, na, 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 na. And a lot of websites are doing that. They're just like, yeah, we're not doing this. Just block the UK. So, yeah, no wonder like VPNs are going through the roof there, right? And you know, there's people in China use VPNs to get around China's great internet wall. And it's kind of sad that we're heading in that exact direction where the government is wanting to control what the fuck people are doing on the internet and shit. How about go after criminals instead of trying to control what people do? Huh? No? Aw. But yeah, things are getting worse. Now, I admit that is a big old thing over games, but it's very concerning. And just imagine how that could affect games. Because there is a small segment to be concerned about. Because, you know, obviously, like, let's say, Fear and Hunger, I know, is not accessible to German people on Steam. However, the creator was doing a thing. If you bought the Itch.io version and said, hey, I'm German, I want the Steam version, he was giving Steam codes to the German people to claim so they could play it on Steam. Imagine how much more complicated that kind of thing will be. All these games and shit inaccessible to you in the UK unless you give your personal information up. Your location, who you are, and who knows what the fuck they collect off you when you agree to all this shit. Who knows what additional things they collect off of you. Or even put on your computer. Yeah. Very concerning. And you know, if this shit becomes universal, I mean, shit is just gonna go wild. Piracy is going to go to a whole new level if this shit gets okayed. Oh lord. The dark ages of the internet are coming fast. Anyway, though, those are basically some of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit that have been going on here and now. Very concerning shit, and like I said, I'm really concerned about GOG just any day fucking posting something about several games being removed or something. GOG has always been very good, even if a game gets removed from sale, that stays in your library. As far as I know, GOG has never removed a game from anyone's library that I'm aware of. And we're reaching a dark point where something like that could potentially happen. And, you know, the worst case, they stop supporting more mature storylines and shit. Look, I get there's a lot of bad slop there, like a lot of bad porn slop. And that shit, a lot of that got targeted too. But there's shit being lost in the crossfire. Like I said, Fear and Hunger has tons of fucked up shit that happens in it. You can get raped, murdered, you lose limbs, you can get merged into a horrible abomination. Really fucked up shit happens in Fear and Hunger. But it's a crazy survival RPG with tons of weird, crazy Cthulhu shit and stuff. It's a very interesting game if you can put up with the mature shit, the mature themes in that. Things like that all being lost in the crossfire of this shit. And that's the problem. If something like Detroit Become Human was like this collective group's target for just because there's a kid in it that's running away from the bad people and shit, and this is being qualified as child abuse. Essentially, all games are basically banned, essentially, according to these people. Because you can view everything as abuse. Everything is bad. These are fictional storytelling. This is back like with Anita Sarkeesian was like, we can't ever have good video game female characters. You wanna know why? Because you bitch. When we try to have interesting female characters. Because, oh, they made a story. Oh, she has trauma. Well, that's abusive. How could you? You can't have a female lead have trauma background or anything. That would be like giving her depth. Oh, the humanity. She has depth. We can't have that. And that's why, like, you, like, didn't see really interesting female killers in the West a lot of times. Or you see these safe killers that fucking have nothing really happen to them and shit. Because you can't have interesting Western female killers most of the time in the West. Because, ooh, boo hoo hoo. I solely blame those kind of people for that kind of thing. Thank the heavens Japan's not like that and can have lots of very interesting killers. But yeah, that kind of shit is going to go poof in this kind of crap. Anyway, that's me rant on this shit. If you have any questions or anything you want to ask about it, feel free to leave a comment down below. Or if you want to, say your own 2 cents and shit. This shit's really concerning. I really wish it wasn't the problem we had to face, but it's not a lot we can do. It's all up to us bitching about it. All we can just try do is convince politicians and shit. We don't want this shit, and we want this shit to stop. It needs to stop. We have rights. We have rights, and once you give those rights up, it's hard to get them back. In the UK, you're seeing that happen in person, in life. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Be safe out there in the darkness of the void. And remember, we all face life's hardships together.